Hi, my name is Tracy Cornelius from Get Creative with Tracy, and I'd like to welcome you to my stamping studio, a series of videos where we're going to address some of the most common stamping issues, along with showing you some fantastic techniques that can take your stamping to the next level. So come on in, let's see what we can do. So thanks very much for joining me. Today's technique I'm going to be showing you is a background technique which really resembles watercolouring. It's one that was shown to me by Linny, who's one of our fellow Pinkies, and she did it at a Stampin' Up demonstration in Telford. And it's really simple, but it's an awesome one to have. So I've purposely not made these into cards as of yet, because you could really make them into pictures, you could make them into cards, you could make them in a scrapbook, you could do a number of things with them. And sometimes I think if you make a complete project, you're limiting the thought process as to how you can use it in different ways. So today I'm going to be showing you how to create the background technique to this, and then you can then go ahead and decorate it however you wish. So you're going to need a block first of all, and I'm going to be doing this on the back. I've got one of those little stickers on the front of mine. You can either just remove that or just use it on the block, but you do need it just to be the acrylic. And then you're going to need some Stampin' Right markers. So because I really like this particular colour scheme, I'm going to show you how I did that. So I'm going to be using a little bit of So Saffron, crushed curry, some pumpkin pie, and I'm actually going to use rose red because that's a really nice colour. So whatever you want to do to create your background, you always start off with the lightest colour first. Now our Stampin' Right markers have two little lines on them. The thicker one means that that's the one you're going to use for colouring or stamping, and the thinner one is then used for journaling. So taking the lightest colour first, I'm just going to scribble quite liberally all over the block, just like that. And then I'm going to be taking my next colour, and I'm just going to go a little bit further up. I'm going to be doing it in stages. So then I'm taking our pumpkin pie, and then lastly I'm going to be using the rose red. It's really gorgeous colour. So it doesn't really matter what colour scheme you use, you just scribble on it until your heart's content. And then you're going to use one of our Stampin' Mists. Now, you don't need to fill it all the way up with water. It depends how much you're going to use it. You can just do it about maybe a third to a quarter full, quarter to a third, something like that. But what you do want to do is then spray onto the acrylic block really liberally. So just spritz. And can you see how much it's puddling up? And you really do want lots and lots of water. So when you think that you're probably having about too much, is roughly about when you've got it right. So I'm then taking my cardstock. Now this time I'm just using just normal Whisper White cardstock. You can use our watercolouring paper as well, works really beautifully with that too. So I'm just going to squidge it over, and can you see all those colours blending in? So I'm just going to press down, and you can see the colours bleeding out. Move it around. Now there's a couple of different ways that you can do this. If you want more of a colour, you can spread the colour around the paper a little bit more if you wanted, or if you just wanted that block you could have just left it where it was. If you've got this, you can just blot some of it out, or you can leave it exactly the way it is. It's entirely up to you. The thing that I love about it is no two come out the same ever. Now I just want to, before this dries completely, I'm just going to put this up here, I want to explain the differences. This one I let dry completely before I stamped on it, so can you see that the stamping images are really crisp and beautiful, really stand out. Whereas on this one I actually stamped when it was still a little bit damp, and that was so that I could create a bit more of a watercolour look, if you like, even with this stamp as well, and it just suited this. This one's from the Little Zoo Babies collection. I don't know if you've seen them, but they are super cute. I really like these, and they're great for a number of different things. And in fact, I liked it so much that that's when I did the two together, and stamped Never Underestimate the Power of Two, and that's from Yippee Skippy, which are great, and it just has some great words and sayings on there. I freaking love you, I love that. So yeah, so I've kind of mixed and matched them, and then the stamp for the sentiment for this one is actually using baby prints. I wanted a really big sentiment, so I've used Cherish the Moments. I've got a friend of mine that's actually due in a few months for her baby, but we don't yet know if it's a girl or a boy. But this card can suit either occasion really, it can be quite generic. So there you have how to create the background. So this one is not completely dry as of yet, so I'm just going to quickly show you what I meant about creating this kind of watercolour effect. So I'm going to take Zoo Babies again, and this time I think I'm going to use the Rhino. And I like using it in basic grey because that's a really nice colour and kind of appropriate as well really. So just want to make sure that I've got that on the block pretty straight. Ink it up in the way that you normally would, just checking that it's inked all over, and then you can just go ahead and stamp out. So there you go, and as that bleeds in a little bit, because it's still a little bit damp, again you can see that you're creating that watercolour look, which is really cool. And you can just keep doing that as much or as little as you want to do. Depends what effect you're going for really. Now you're not limited to the different kind of colour schemes that you use. You don't have to use kind of sunset colours. If you want, you could create a vintage look. This one I've just done onto a luggage tag that I had hanging around, and I created more of a vintage kind of background with that one. And the stamp set, this is one stamp set I still have just held on to. Normally when an item is no longer available from Stampin' Up, I put it on my buy one get one free, but this stamp set was one of the Celebration ones from 2013. And it was gorgeous. It was called Feeling Sentimental, I think, and I loved it, so I've just kept that. But let me just quickly show you how I created that, and I'll just do it on the back of the tag anyway, just to show you again a slightly different technique, using the same process, but you're, instead of scribbling in lines, you're going to do a bit more sporadic. So I'm taking all browns really, so I've got crumb cake here, I've got soft suede, I've got chocolate chip, and I've got early espresso. So I'm going to start with crumb cake, and I'm just going to literally add that all over. And now with my next lightest colour, I'm just going to scribble on a little bit, so you can see I'm not being particularly careful. Adding a little bit more of the chocolate chip, definitely want more to be in the corner, and then topping it off with some early espresso. Let's scribble that around. Okay, and once again you want to load that up with water, so it puddles quite a lot, and then I'm just going to squidge it on. Now at this stage, if you press down, you'll merge the colours a lot more. If you don't, then you've got a bit more. If you're lifting up, can you see I can manipulate it? Hopefully you can see that. So I'm just manipulating the colours, and it's going to drip as well because I've put so much water on, and I want those drips. So I'm going to drip it on, and then this is where tissue comes in quite handy, but can you see what happens? You'll get the pattern of the tissue as well. If you're using watercolour paper, that wouldn't happen. It would bleed in a lot more. Okay, now before I put any more water on, I want to go a bit darker with this one, so I can add a bit more chocolate chip, just randomly again. And I'm not drying that off anymore. I'm just going to lay that back over the top, and I can swipe if I want to make it a bit more specific. Can you see? So you've got a little bit more control, and then I'm going to do the same thing again, this time with the early espresso, and I just want to have a few more dots of that around, and then I can go back over the top. I'm just going to manipulate that a little bit more, and I can, you know, move it out using the block, blot it a bit more. You can see, I mean, you can literally go to town with that. You can do it as much or as little as you want. If you want the colours not to blend so much, just take a heat tool and dry it in between. But yeah, you get the general idea. You could do lots of different things with it. So hopefully you've enjoyed this technique. It's super fun to do. I really do encourage you to give it a go with different colours, different styles, and just see how you go with it, really. Well, thanks very much for stopping by and watching. If you want to order any of the Stampin' Up products, you can do so on my blog at www.getcreativewithtraci.co.uk. You'll see a little shopping basket on there, and you can just click that and that'll take you through to my online store. If you do want to have any more inspiration, or if you want to speak to me, then do get in contact. You'll find all of my details on my blog. Alright then, take care. Thanks. Bye.